What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the second episode of the Beyond the Norm show, where we take you beyond what's normal. If you want to achieve massive success for yourself and you want to know what's the blueprint to it, this is the show where you're going to get that formula. Am I the person who have already achieved massive success? No, not yet, but I will for sure. And I'm going to be sharing my journey with you throughout the next couple of years and take you along with me where I go. So you can have the exact formula that I use to apply on your own career and achieve massive success for yourself. So thanks again for joining me in this podcast today. My name is Z, also known as Syed Zihad. Probably in my last episode, you heard the story of how I got the name. Here in my second show, coming at you from Ottawa, Canada, where it's a negative 6 degrees Celsius today. Super cold out there, lots of snow. Wouldn't recommend getting out or driving. Absolutely hate it. I really want to go to a country in Asia right now and just chill in a sunny beach. That would be ideal. Anyway, so you might be wondering, what's this show about? This show is all about how do you achieve success in your career and what is the formula, the blueprint? What do the top successful people do? I study a lot of successful people in my downtime. I take what they apply, the principles they use, their ethics, and I basically apply it in my life and I see how my life starts changing. And that's what I'm going to bring to you, because I believe a lot of people, the biggest challenge people face in their lives is they all have big dreams. Look, every single person on this planet, they want to achieve the best for themselves. But sometimes it's the lack of perspective. It's a lack of information that doesn't get them to the next phase in their lives. And that's why I wanted to start this podcast, because in my own life, I had friends who always used to say that they want to achieve this, they want to achieve that, but they never went anywhere. And the only reason they never went anywhere is because they never took that first step. And it's okay, I get it. It's a lot of anxiety, it's a lot of pressure to take that first step. But imagine you could take an informed step. You wouldn't be as fearful, you wouldn't be as anxious to take that step anymore. If you had that perfect blueprint or a roadmap to get to where you need to, imagine how much easier it would be. That's what this podcast is for. So over the next couple of years, I'm here with you. I'm going to achieve massive success for myself, and I'm going to tell you how I do it so you can do it for yourself as well. And I guess a lot of you guys are coming from my YouTube channel. Most of you guys are international students. Look, I don't want to make this podcast just international student focused, because I want whatever information gets shared through this platform be applicable to anybody. So if you're a parent, if you're a kid who's like 15 years old, if you're someone who's 20 years old or just graduating out of high school, or you're someone who's about to change their career because you want to pivot and you're not happy with your current life and you want to do something amazing and explore your potential, this is the right place to be. So thanks for joining again in Beyond the Norm podcast. And I'm super excited today. It's because the topic of this podcast is something that I absolutely love, and it's business related. And I am going to go off in a rant the whole time. And just bear with me. Sometimes I might get a little too aggressive, but you're going to absolutely love the perspective that I shared today. So the topic of today's podcast is 5 foundations of business that will explode your sales or business, or even sometimes your career. Okay? I shouldn't have said 5 foundations of business. I would say 5 foundations that will explode your business or your career. So I will tell you guys a little bit of story and take you back probably 4 or 5 years in my journey. So 4 years ago, over the last 4 years, I launched, I think, about 2 other businesses, even though they were successful in their own way, but I do see them as a failure. The reason they failed and I had to shut them down and they never scaled is, if I were to look back at it, the first business, I had a very terrible team. We had terrible culture. We didn't know why we were in business. We just wanted to do something cool. So it's a bunch of kids getting together to do something cool with absolutely no purpose and super ego driven. it failed eventually because we couldn't take client criticism because we were so driven by ego, and we always thought we were the right people. So that was the first mistake. It was that we had a bad team, no good culture, not humble enough. The second business, after learning from our mistakes from the first one, obviously I relaunched it. And the second time I launched a business, I didn't have a great pricing structure. So for the amount of work we would put in, we would never get paid enough to sustain the growth of the business. So that was a big learning curve for us, is that sometimes you could just go after your passion, but if your passion doesn't pay you enough, you can't keep pursuing your passion. So that's what happened in that business, right? So those were two massive, big learning lessons for me. And after that, I took a little bit of a break and kind of joined an organization, a commercial real estate firm, as a marketing manager, and worked there for some time. But for that 2 years of time, when I was employed as an employee at a company, I would invest a lot into my self-growth. I would read a lot of books on business. I would read how the big businesses became what they became today. And through collecting all the information from all sorts of sources, I have compiled the 5 essential elements that you need to always make sure that you have when you're starting your business. It's like laying out the foundation of a building or a construction project. You know, you don't see construction workers or architecture buildings being just built out like as they see it, as soon as they come up with an idea. They plan it, right? They don't just build out all the walls first. They put in the pillars, they put in the foundation, and then they put in the concrete, they put in all the steel infrastructure, whatever the technical terms are, but they put in the foundation, the framework for that building. And then they start filling in with all the nice stuff that needs to be on it and make it look polished. The same way it's your business. If your business doesn't have the right foundations, your business is just going to be a very shaky model, like something that could be wiped out with anything, right? Your competition is always working to wipe your business out. So if your foundation for your business or your career is not strong enough, someone will always replace you, okay? So one of the biggest things that I have learned about running a business is that, or even seen in people's pattern of running a business, is that people run business as if it's their passion. Look, business isn't about chasing your passion. Business is about chasing a purpose. And that's what this entire podcast is going to be revolving around today. Because we have seen so many successful people say, you got to pursue what you're passionate about. You got to chase what you're passionate about. Yeah, that's for yourself. But for your business, it's not, you don't pursue what you're passionate about. You use your passion to fuel the purpose that you're serving. And that's what forms a business. So, what is the, let's look at what is the definition of a business in the first place. To all you guys thinking out there, because I love to look up a definition and warm you up with the definition first. Business, okay. A business, it's a person's regular occupation, profession, or trade. The practice of making one's living by engaging in commerce. I think the second definition does more justice to the term. The practice of making one's living by engaging in commerce. Commerce means exchange of goods or services for some sort of monetary currency, right? Now, here's the thing. A lot of people, when they start a business, they start building out a product. How many times have you seen people building out products when they start a business? Look, if nobody knows you, nobody is going to buy your product. You're just going to be the only person sitting with your product and wondering, why the hell is someone not buying the product? So that's something that we are also going to cover today. So let me just get into the 5 foundations then, so that you can get all excited and start taking notes. Number 1, why are you doing it? Oh boy, am I going to go off on this one right now. Why are you trying to get into business? Look, business is something completely different than what you live as a person in normal life, the life that you live as an employee or someone employed with the company. Business is something where you're making a big leap in your career and you're saying, you know what, I got something to chase and I'm going to go do it. But why? What is your inner motivation that's driving you to make that leap forward? Is it ego driven? Because guess what? I don't even need to look at the stat of what percentage of people are driven by ego to start a business. And I can tell you, it's easily over 80%. 80% of people, I don't know if it's real, but I will tell you, over 80% of people around the world will always start a business out of their ego. They want to be the boss. They want to work for themselves. They don't want to be told what to do. They want to be in control. They're control freaks. That's why they want to go into business. They want to have full control on what they do, the money they make. That's what drives a lot of people, unfortunately. And if you're someone like that, let me break it to you. You will never be successful as a businessman or a businesswoman. Because your entire structure of business, your foundation, is so shallow that it's built on vanity. You just want to be your own boss. You just want to dominate. You just want to make people work for you. You just want to be telling people what to do. If that's the reason you're getting into business, you have to have pretty bad principles as a person. And sometimes you could be lying to yourself that that's not the reason you're getting into it, but really put yourself in check. And guys, I'll tell you the truth. Never get into business because you want to work for yourself. There is nothing called working for yourself. There's absolutely nothing. There is no scenario where you don't work for anybody else. You're always working for someone else unless you have made so much money by working for someone else to some point that you have built so much wealth that you don't have to work for anybody anymore. But you don't think that on day one, when you get into business, you're working for yourself. Check this out. There was this one guy I knew that I used to work with. He left his company and he said, you know what? I'm going to go work for myself. He started a coaching business. He now has to show up for his client on time. Who is he working for now? His clients. If his clients don't like his work, they're going to shit on him. Everybody's working for someone else. Even me, I have a business. I'm an employer. I work for my customers. I work for my staff. I have to motivate my staff. I have to make sure they're paid properly. I have to make sure they're taken care of. If I don't motivate and impress my staff to be part of my company, if I don't sell them that, hey, look, we're after a big mission here. We're doing something absolutely amazing. We want to help so many people. I have to sell them on that vision. I'm working for them. I need to impress them. I need to have them stay excited to be part of my company. I work for my staff. So you never work for yourself, and whoever created this work for yourself, be independent. It's all horse crap. They want to sell you some courses so that you can just purchase them thinking, because you're so shallow. Your mind, you just want to get out of this rat race. I get it. But how about you stay in this race, but instead of a rat race, you do something amazing for other people. You're always working for other people. You never work for yourself. Because if you want to really help other people, you have to end up working for other people. If you just want to work for yourself, that's so selfish. Why are you just thinking of yourself? And as I said, there's nothing like that unless you have made so much money and built so much wealth that now at this point you can do whatever you want. And again, don't go into business because you want to work for yourself. Don't go into business because you can't take orders. And about this as well, the person who doesn't like to be told what to do or how to get things done are usually pretty bad at what they do. That's why they're having to be told what to do. If you're really good at what you do, your employer will never come up to you and tell you what to do, because you would have done everything perfectly anyway. So it's usually the really average, really underachieved, like people who are just not good at what they do. They're shallow. They have been brought up in an entitled way. They're the ones who go out there and be like, you know what? I want to be my own boss. You're the most uneducated, absolutely dumb person out there if you're thinking you're going to go out there to do business just to work for yourself. You're going to be working 24/7 and not for yourself, but actually for others. So it's better at that point to stay where you are with your company, where you have the soft cushion of getting a monthly paycheck, the same paycheck, safe. It's safe. You're stable. You don't have to worry about where you're getting the next customer from. You don't have to worry about building a brand that your employer has worked so hard, and you shit on your employer thinking that they don't pay you enough. Your employer has taken all the risk to build a brand from scratch and give you that stability in life where they get to pay you a certain amount of money every single month, right? So if you're gonna be driven by vanity to start a business, scratch that idea, just stay where you are and keep working. Be the best at what you do first. Learn how to be the best. Put your head down, be humble, and just get really good at what you do. And then you go think about what can be done. So that's the first one. Why did you get into business? Is it ego-driven? Is it vanity-driven? Is it because you want to work for yourself? And all of that is absolutely unrealistic. And only the shallow people and the really selfish, evil people really do that. And another thing about that, trust me, have you ever heard about people really hating their bosses? They don't like working for the companies they're in. Have you seen businesses not growing at all and they just kind of go steady at one point with their growth? It's because the business owner was selfish. They just wanted to do something on their own, just get a few people under their, on their payroll, get them working for them. And once they start making $100,000, they're happy and they don't have to expand the business anymore. And their employees start feeling miserable there because there's no cause for them to serve. There's no purpose for them to serve. So the employees start hating what they start doing. It's like, why am I even doing the work? Guess why? You're doing the work because you just had to feed the ego of your boss. That's why. That's why you hate your job so much. So even as an employee, you have to look out for your employers. Like, is my employer actually vanity-driven or ego-driven, or are they purpose-driven, which I'm going to get to in a second, right? If your boss is someone who's vanity-driven or ego-driven, you are in for trouble. You're going to get fired, or you're going to absolutely hate your job anytime you don't kiss your boss's ass, because that's why they're in business. They want to feel like they're in control. They want to feel like, yeah, I am the boss. Okay? So, and the last part also I want to add to this is like, also guys, there are some of you out there, look, you call yourself an entrepreneur. Maybe I'll make another podcast on this. Please don't call yourself an entrepreneur if you're never going to take risks. Don't call yourself a business owner if you're not worried about how you're going to pay your people tomorrow, if you're not worried about where you're going to get your customer tomorrow. Okay? If you make $100,000 or $200,000 or $300,000 as a business owner and you're happy and staying like that just by yourself without hiring any employees, without taking on the risk of building something new, inventing something new for the community and for the world, you're not a business owner. You're just a self-employed, individual contractor. Don't call yourself a business owner. So that's, again, trying to call yourself a business owner because you're vanity driven. So don't be that, okay? This is extremely important. This is the first thing that can make the first motivation or the first element of your framework of business that can make your entire business super shaky, okay? Nobody ever got into business and did amazing things because they wanted to be their own boss. Moving on. So there are 3 things in total why people get into business for. The number 1 was ego. Number 2 is money. This one is okay. Some people just get into business to make a lot of money, and that's fine. I think that's fine. Although this is not the most preferred way of getting into business, but hey, some people see great opportunities like drop shipping, like let's say Facebook marketing or social media marketing, and people start making a lot of money, right? There's no ego attached to that. There's like, hey, there's this big opportunity with a lot of money in that space, and I'm just gonna go there and just get my fair share. One of my uncles that I really look up to, he became super, super, super rich just by being in the second option, right? He just wanted to make a lot of money, see an opportunity, and capitalize on it. And that's okay. I don't have much comments on it. So if you see a big opportunity where there's money to be made, go after it, make your money, and call yourself a businessman. But the number 3rd one is the best one, is you get into business to serve cause or entertain people or It's basically something that has purpose because you want to do something for other people. That's the most beautiful form of intention to get into business. The best example I could talk about is look at Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs never got into business because he was driven by vanity. He was never driven by money. None of the top guys, Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, Sarah Blakely, all these people that I think of mine as my role models, they never got into business to make money. They got into business to serve a cause. Steve Jobs he had this amazing capability and creativity that he was, you know what, and his imagination. And he said, I'm going to change the world. I'm just going to help people and revolutionize how they live, how they move, and really add to their lifestyle. That's why he got into business. Elon Musk, he's got into business to always do amazing things for the people of this world. He brought clean energy in terms of cars, right? You have self-driving cars that uses battery power instead of gas. Better for the environment, better for the people. Now he's thinking of getting us to Mars so that if anything happens to Earth, we have another place to stay. That's all driven by purpose. If your business, your motivation to do business comes from purpose, to do something for other people, you will be the strongest player in the industry and nobody can ever take you down. This is the most essential ingredient in your entire recipe of running a business or your business framework or foundation. Your business has to be motivated by a strong purpose to really help people. Okay? For us at Connected, where we help international students, the reason I got into business, look, I had 3 other businesses where I could make so much money. I could just advertise, like I have all the marketing skills to build a social media agency, I have all the marketing skills to build a promotions company, and I could make hundreds of thousands of dollars. But I looked at this one opportunity where, because I was an international student before, I went through all the challenges, I knew that I really wanted to help students. Like, it means the world to me to really get that, feeling of happiness from a customer when they say, Z, thank you so much. Thanks to the Connected team for helping me. That's why we're in business. When they move to Canada, they become successful in their careers. That's the purpose we chase, right? So you see, that purpose has nothing to do with passion, right? I didn't tell you what I love to do. I told you what we are chasing as a business. And if we were chasing my own passion, just think about my employees, think about my staff, think about my colleagues. They were like, are we just helping Z pursue his own passion? That is so not a great intention for them to wake up every morning and be like, you know what, let's help Z with his passion today. So you want to find a purpose as a business owner. Even if you are an employee at a company, you want to have that purpose alignment. It's like, why do you do what you do? And if you can bring purpose to your work, your employer is gonna absolutely love you and gonna really cherish you as a team member because you know why the company exists. So that was number 3, is you gotta be in business to serve a purpose. And number 2, what's the cost? So once you really realize that here is why I wanna do business, it's not ego driven, it's not money driven, but it's purpose driven. Now you gotta find out, number 2, what's the purpose or what's the cause you're willing to serve, and what is it that you have to give. So for example, our purpose was to really simplify the international student journey. There's so much that goes into the international student study abroad process. There's so much complexity, there's so much information that people get overwhelmed, and often people get scammed. So we got into business to simplify that process and really make it easy for international students. So that's my cost for the business. What does that look like for you? And sometimes you also got to think, with your expertise, what do you have to give to people? When I started the business, obviously I didn't know that I'm going to just simplify immigration process or the study abroad process for students. I had my knowledge from my own experience as an international student, and then I created a platform to give away all the information and the perspective and the experience that I have from all my encounters as an international student. So you got to find out for yourself, what is it that you have to give to other people? What are you so good at? What is that thing that you have so much knowledge on that you can pass it on to other people? If you're a great engineer, what can you build for other people? What do you have to give to others? That gives you that purpose, right? For me, the purpose, the thing that I could give was really helpful tips for international students with unique experiences that I had through my own failures as an international student, which then transformed into me realizing there was a bigger opportunity where I could serve a bigger purpose to help international students and simplify their process, their journey to study abroad. Now, as soon as you realize what's the cause, here is where you got to start thinking like a businessman or a businesswoman. So you got to ask yourself, how big is this opportunity? The thing is, a lot of business owners make this mistake that they get into business right away as soon as they see an idea, but they never work out the math. Because imagine this, a brand like Rolls-Royce, if they would only sell, because let's say Rolls-Royce is so luxurious and all that stuff. Imagine only right now, let's say, probably only 500 people in a country probably buy Rolls-Royce in a year. Let's just assume, for example, 500 people buys a Rolls-Royce a year in a country, right? So how much does that translate to in terms of revenue for Rolls-Royce? Let me pull up my calculator here. So 500, and each Rolls-Royce costs about, let's say, $200,000. That is about $100 million in terms of revenue for Rolls-Royce just in 1 year. So 500 people buys a $200,000 car. 500 times 200, 1, 2, 3. That's $100 million in revenue. Now imagine if Rolls-Royce sold their cars for $40,000, they would only be making $20 million, whereas Toyota is probably making about probably $400 million or $200 million, whatever that is. The point I'm trying to make here is that depending on how big your market is, your price is going to start changing. So you're not even going to think of the product first. You're just thinking, okay, I got my intention of getting into business. I know the cause that I'm going to serve, but then you got to ask yourself, how many people care about this cause, or how many people can I approach with what I have to give? If it's not scalable, if that number is not in the millions, your price has to be really high. You got to sell expensive premium products. But if it's not a million, but if your audience is over a million, I don't know what I said earlier. Maybe I said, so if your market is not in the millions and it's very, very small, you have to sell really, really expensive products. You have to price yourself in a premium way. You got to make your brand look premium. But if your market is scalable, it's over the millions, you can price yourself lower. For example, it's like a bag of chips. It's only $2 or $3, but that gets consumed by millions of people. But a Rolls-Royce is not bought by millions of people within a year. It's probably bought by 500 people within a year. So that's what I'm trying to tell you, because I've seen a lot of business owners to make the mistake. Even I made that mistake in the past, where I just told you that we didn't price things right, which led to us not being able to sustain the business because we're putting too much work and there was not enough revenue. We priced ourselves way too low, but our market was too small. So we couldn't make enough money to actually run the business. So be careful before even you think of what product you're going to sell, before you even think of the third step in the business. Just ask yourself, okay, you got the cause. How big is the market for that? How many people can you approach to give what you have to offer? If it's a lot of people, you can price yourself low. If it's not, make sure to price yourself in a premium way, okay? So that's a big mistake that people make. Moving on, number 3, you gotta know who's your audience. Okay, once you realize how big the market is, it's easy to say, okay, you know what, there's a big market. But who is that market? But more importantly, who is your dream customer? This is extremely important, you guys. So One of the most recent things that happened at Connected was that we tried to go ahead and sign all sorts of customers. And that created a lot of problems for us, to the point that there was one day or a couple of days, almost everybody in the team would wake up and be like, why the heck am I doing this? And we absolutely hate what we do, because we signed people who never cared about what we really have to offer. Okay, we signed them up, but they would never understand or value the potential of the benefit that we actually have to offer them, right, with our services. For example, our goal is to make sure that our students become massively successful when they move abroad. So we provide them with all sorts of career development resources, lots of trainings. We give them weekly IELTS classes to improve their English. But look, if the student doesn't want to be successful, if the student doesn't want to be great at English, they're never going to appreciate what we offer. So for you, you have to really make sure that you know what your dream customers look like. So when you go out there and start attracting people, you attract the right kind of people, so that when you end up working with them, you absolutely love what you do and they absolutely love what they get from you. Because if there is a disconnect there, you're going to start hating what you do, and your business starts going to crumbling, because your motivation is going to go down, which reduces the growth of your business, right? And automatically you're going to start getting hate comments and negative comments. That happened shortly at Connected, and we immediately kicked out all the negative customers that we never wanted to work with in the first place. So you got to ask yourself, who is the person? Who's the ideal person that I want to work with? This one is about you. Who do you want to work with, and who can benefit and will really appreciate and value your services and what you have to offer? And once you find out who's your audience, number 4, how will you get yourself known to them? And I can go on all day long on this point. Look, if you don't get yourself known, nobody's gonna know you, and nobody's gonna know what you have to offer. If you're good at something, you gotta get people to know that you're good at that. Because if they don't know what to pay you for, right? So the whole time, even before getting into building a product, you see, like, I'm not talking about even building a product. I'm just talking about the mindset that you gotta get into first, the homework that you need to do, even if you build out your first product. At Connected, I never even built any product for the first 1 year. I even made money before building out a product. So if you do these things the right way, you're going to see yourself profitable even before starting a business. And I'm telling you, this is absolutely true. So you gotta, the biggest challenge, if you really think about it, in business for everybody is obscurity. Nobody knows you. Go stand in a line. The reason you're standing in a line is because you're not known to anybody. But if you see a celebrity next to you, you're going to see that they can skip the line and they'll just get ahead of you. Life is just like that in every single way, in every single aspect. If you are known, the most known always wins the game. Okay? Apple, Nike, what they do is they get themselves known. Nike pays billions of dollars in advertising. Why do you think they do that? Still, even after everybody knows about Nike. It's because they want to make sure that they're known no matter what, so that the next competitor or the next brand doesn't get more famous than Nike themselves, right? So that's what they're working on. So that's something that you have to figure out as well. How do I get myself known to this audience? Is it going to be through networking events? Is it going to be through seminars? Is it going to be through visiting their offices? If you're in the B2B space, you got to go to networking events. You got to go to visit their offices. If it's consumer, you can be a social media influencer, right? You can get on YouTube, you can get on Facebook, make videos, get yourself known to these people, collaborate with other influencers in that space, and get yourself known. Don't just stay in one spot, try to build out your product by burying your head into the product, but lose your time of getting yourself known. That's the most valuable thing. Look at Kim Kardashian. Why does she get $1 million per post? Because she's got 200 million followers. Cristiano Ronaldo has 200 million followers. The thing is, as soon as you realize that you're really good at something, you gotta get yourself known quickly for that. Else you will never be able to monetize the blessing that you have. If nobody knows about your amazing product, no one will know about your amazing product. they're always going to buy from your competitors. So your number one priority, as soon as you figure out the business formula, is how do I get myself known? You wake up every day, you breathe and ask yourself this question. How do I get myself known to more people? And number 5 is, once you get yourself known to more people, you're helping them out, you're giving, and at some point you can ask, and that's what's called converting. You have to learn how to convert those people. When I started my YouTube channel, I kept giving to people, right? I created all these videos to give out tips and information and unique stuff to people. And then at some point I'm like, hey guys, it's time for me to ask a little bit. Who would like to sign up with my agency Connected? And then a lot of people started signing up. So that was my conversion strategy, and it's pretty simple. The formula for converting is really simple. If you give a lot, you're gonna get back a lot. There obviously are some marketing tactics and all that stuff. You can work that out, but it's optional. You don't have to really think about it when you're starting out the business. When you're starting out the business, really focus on why are you getting into business? Who's your audience? What's the cause? How do you want to help them? And how you want to get yourself known to them. And as you grow your audience, you will figure it out how you're going to convert them, because they will tell you what they need help with. And all you do is create a solution to help them with that. And all of a sudden you're seeing converting a lot of people. But you can figure this out later. Because I like to say that, look, it's better to have 100,000 members in your audience and then convert, which is going to be 10% of that audience, 10% of 100,000 is 10,000 customers. And let's say you sell them a $30 product, you're making $300,000. Okay, if you sell a $300 product, you're going to be making $3 million $3 million, right? So, but if you only have 10 people, 15 people in your audience, and conversion rates are usually 10%, you're only making, if you sell a $30 product, $45. So don't work too much on trying to convert people initially. Once you scale and once you have a big enough audience, then you can go convert, and it becomes all worth it at that point. So that is my 5th point. And I would say, like, if you use these 5 things in your business plan and just pay attention to these 5 pointers, which are the fundamentals of running a business and making sure your business is successful, or even as a career. Imagine as an employee at a company, if you know what your purpose is in that job, right? If you're not ego-driven, if you're service-driven, you serve the customers of that company, right? You know who that audience really is. You can go out and network, right? Get yourself known to the right people, become a better salesperson within that company, and you also know how to convert them properly. You're going to impress your boss. You're going to be really a very important person within that company, and you're going to start climbing up the corporate ladder way quicker than you know. So what is the action plan for you based on all these 5 pointers? One and only task, I would say, focus on getting yourself known, because the first 2 is pretty simple. The first 3 is pretty simple. Check yourself with the intention, know what's the purpose, figure that cause out. You know, if you don't have a cause right now, figure it out as you go. Look around you, see a purpose or challenge that you want to solve for the community. Figure out who's the audience, and then just get yourself known. Wake up every day, make content, go shout on the streets, tell people what you do. Hey, I'm good at this. Hey, here's what I'm working on. Tell people, right? So that they start talking about you, like, hey, remember Z was talking about this. Man, he was doing so amazing with all that stuff. I think he's up to something. And that's what you want people to do around you, okay? And as soon as you do that, the rest is everything. The rest will figure itself out. Trust me, okay? So I hope you enjoyed the podcast session today. Honestly, I have nothing else to go off on, but I will see you and join me in the next podcast session. I think we're going to be talking about the secrets to really landing the next job or any job that you want to approach, and it's going to be an exciting one again. I'm trying to pause or make the podcast come to a stop or halt today because I'm almost losing my voice. But I hope you enjoyed the podcast and being with me. Thanks again for joining me. I'm your host, Z, also known as Syed Zihad, and thank you for joining the Beyond the Norm podcast. Be great. See you next week. Take care.